Yeah, going into sort of this weekend's games and sort of the transfer rumours, I think what we might do is the transfer rumour side of things first, and that'll level into kind of where we're at in regards to the games and stuff like that. Mister ITK, have you got any useful insights into any little deals that might be happening?
No, none at all. No, look, mate, it's just a sort of it's a really quiet window this time.
Yeah.
My concentrations are really on working on our players at the moment, and we're working on getting a couple of bits done this window, not necessarily to England, so I'm not in the time constraint of working to the 31st of January. So yeah, no, look, mate, I've got my head down. We're working on our own players. Probably the biggest player we've got at the moment is a boy that's at Sturm Graz at the Arnold Schwarzenegger Stadium in Austria. He's an Albanian international, Bekim Balaj. Just turned 30 a few weeks ago. His contract comes to an end in a few months. So we're going to be looking to get him a good move somewhere. He's open to all opportunities. So we're speaking to some championship clubs for a last-minute deal over here, but that's probably not going to happen over here, and it's going to be somewhere else abroad. But no, look, in terms of all the big names, I'd say no, nothing really I could shine any light on. Jesse Lingard looks like he's a done deal for West Ham.
Yeah. He was. He's got the shirt. Hold it up, number 11. That was done.
I think that's a good solid signing there. Really, I really do think so. Especially with something to prove as well. He's got the England in the summer potentially if he kicks on.
He's another one. He's 27, 28 now. He's come through Man United. He's been given everything to a certain extent. I think he's due to some personal reasons. His career has probably not gone in the right direction over the last year or two. But he comes to us now in a good position. You know, we managed to get him over 2 or 3 other clubs as well, which is a big thing for us. He's obviously knows Moyes. Moyes knows him really well. And look, I don't think he walks straight into our starting 11 at the moment. Don't get me wrong. But I think that, you know, our front four, where the positions that he'll be playing, he's going to come in with experience. He's won things. He's won things single-handedly. He scored the winning goal in the FA Cup. We need players like that around us. We've got young players at the moment that haven't won things, the Bowen, the Ben Ramas, so the Fornals, etc. Even Antonio, he's been around the game a lot, but, winners, we're missing a lot. So he comes in with that winning attitude, and he doesn't walk straight into the team. So I think he keeps those 4 on the toes. And if you're going to ask me, do I want, after 70 minutes, do I want Jesse Lingard coming on to change the game, or Lanzini, who's not been on form, apart from a 90th minute screamer, and also someone like Snodgrass, who we've just let go to West Brom. Jesse Lingard is 100% an upgrade in that. So for me, it's a great signing. There's no buyout at the end of it, but you never know with these things. If he settles in well, and Man United next year, I've got a few quid to spend, he's not going to get in their team. So it could develop to be a little bit further, but
it's a funny one overall. You've got a couple of elements to it, and I think it must show that David Moyes wasn't that bad at Man United. He must have trained Lingard, worked alongside Lingard, and would you be willing to go and join him again? The other element was they must have an idea of playing him quite regularly or every game pretty much, because they paid a £1.5 million loan fee plus his wages. Overall, I think it turns out about 3.5 million for 3 months. Yeah. So it's about £1 million a month for this player. So they must have aspirations on something or an idea of him playing every single game for that sort of layout for Golden Sullivan.
Well, Pre would tell you as well, any club that takes on somebody on loan, it's with the promise that that player is going to get game time, because ultimately there's no point in going out on loan if he could sit on the bench for Man United or play around the Man United squad. So I think there's a guarantee there that he's going to be given opportunities. Now, we're still, I don't know, I don't think he's cup tied, although we play Man United on next week, so he obviously can't play against them. But, from our point of view, there's still 19 games to go. He's got a chance to break into that team. We're very thin. We've got a small squad. And one of the consistency one of the things in our team is the consistency of players in that front four position. But we're one injury away, like an Antonio, from having an issue there. So Yarmolenko is our second striker at the moment. He's played up there for Ukraine a number of times. But outside of that, in those four positions, I mentioned them before, the Bowen, the Ben Rama, the Fornals, there's not much cover. So if he does get in, whether it be from injury or coming on and making a positive change, he will keep his spot, because ultimately he was an England regular. He's played for Man United. Now, this ain't the Man United that we all know from the past, but he was still ahead of a lot of good players there. And he's done well. Okay, he's gone off the boil a little bit, but he's a good player. And I think he's going to bring us something that, like I said, mentality-wise, that we haven't had. So for me, it's a very good signing. There's always going to be West Ham fans out there that aren't going to be happy. Why do we need him? But these are the same fans that probably didn't want Dawson. Dawson's been brilliant for us.
He's always been a solid buyer. Yeah, really solid, really wise buyer. I think the loan element leads us on nicely into someone that might be wearing a jumper that Precia's got on in Dele Alli. I really, really think that would be an amazing move for him and maybe for Tottenham. To get maybe his confidence back, or an element of, I mean, even if he doesn't,
get the value back up, mate. Get the value back
up. But guys, does he get into that team? In my opinion, I don't think he gets into a PSG team. Like,
well, you say that, but they had Choupo-Moting, who is the most bang average player, and they signed him from Stoke. They signed really weird players, because I think they take
to Bayern Munich now, so I don't
know. There must be something about him, because I do not see him in.
I was at the game where he missed from 0 yards out.
Yeah, mate. It doesn't make no sense.
I was at the PSG game. I was there. I was sitting in the players' area, and yeah, literally, I don't know how he missed that. But look, yeah, no, of course, mate. Horses for courses, and he'll probably do well out there in the French league. And Poch trusts him, and yeah, there's definitely, if he goes, he'll probably play.
Could you imagine the swagger? Could you imagine the swagger on Dele Alli, which he had a swagger about him anyway, but being with Neymar and Mbappe, yeah,
Icardi, Verratti.
They've got Moise Keane as well now, who I know didn't make it at Everton, but he's a good player as well in that forward position.
He's young player, isn't he?
Herrera. I just, for me, as I mentioned before, I think if you're going to go out on loan, you have to be guaranteed you're going to get minutes and an opportunity to play. And I just don't see him walking into that team. And I think the French league at the moment is a non-existent league. Paris Saint-Germain are flying in it. But he obviously needs to get out of the club because Mourinho don't trust him. And he's obviously gone a little bit stale there. So I can't see him going to any other top 4, top 6 club, because Mourinho would do that. So he's not going to go for a relegation battle, is he?
Levy, innit? And Levy won't do that.
Or Levy, yeah. He's not going to go for a relegation battle. It's no good for him. So he needs to go to a team that plays football. So PSG seems to be the only option, really.
Can we see anybody taking a punt on Diego Costa before the deadline? No, Diego Costa.
It don't matter if it's before the deadline or not, mate, because he's a free transfer.
He's a free transfer, yeah.
His contract was re-intended, they mutually agreed to end it during the transfer window. So that means he can be registered to any football club after their window shuts.
Let me rephrase that then. Can we see anybody taking a punt on Diego Costa?
Sorry, Glenn.
He's a funny one. Look, he's 32. He's 32 years old, and for me, he proved at Chelsea and even at Atletico Madrid that he can still play. Now, for me, I wouldn't want him at West Ham. Now, that's not to say we're above him or anything like that. Not at all. I just think he would bring something to the changing room, that arrogance, that kind of way that he is, that I don't really want to see in the club. No. And don't get me wrong.
I think a lot of people are sadly mistaken with that, because Diego Costa, because I've met him a few times, and know Javi Pereira that we housed and got a really good relationship with, and he's the manager in China at the moment. But when he was at Fulham, we housed him and Slav and all of the guys that moved to Fulham at the time. He had Diego Costa in at a second or third division club in Spain then, and other people that know him really well. Mate, he's a pussycat. Once he crosses that white, and that's exactly how you want every single football player to be. Once you cross that white line, you're an animal. You do not care. You will win. Whatever needs to be done, you will do to win. Once you come off it, you go back to being a nice, good person or whatever. You be you. And with Diego Costa, I don't think he's a bad person. Bad person to have in that changing room. He's a winner. He's not a bad egg. He's not a bad egg that way around, mate.
No, there is a stigma. There is a stigma with text messages around sort of the I can't remember who the Chelsea manager was at the time. Was Conte, it Sarri?
Was it Conte or Sarri?
I think it was Sarri. I think it was at that time. Text messages floating about and whatnot, and they just wanted him out. So I think that stigma's kind of followed with him. Plus, I think being released at 32 from the club that he proposed that he'd love. That might be where the stigma on that comes from. I can't see him at many of the top level clubs in England, and I don't think the salary cap in China now allows him to go there. So I think he's a bit limited in regards to where he goes. Maybe Italy. They like an older striker out in Italy. The style of play might be a little bit slower. He's lost the yard of pace. You've got a lot of like Ibrahimovic. You've got I think Mandzukic's gone back to Italy as well. I think.
I think AC Milan have got like the oldest strike force in the history.
But I mean, you look at exactly. I looked at Zlatan's scoring record, and I think it's this season 22 and 29, which is like ridiculous. I think it's something along those.
Zlatan's not human though, is he? So
no.
I am Zlatan.
No, he's a different breed.